Build to rent. Is it a good idea? Is it a waste of time? Check out this video as our panel members discusses that very question. May I ask if any of the panel members have had any views or experiences with build to rent projects in the UK? I'm going to go to Bronwyn and Wayne, and if anyone else wants to put their hands up, maybe Simon actually at the end. So have a start, Bronwyn, and then move over to Wayne, then finally Simon.
Yeah. Hi, Dinesh. So the big thing about build to rent, it's another phrase that's been used a lot in the last couple of years, especially in big cities. So London, Birmingham, there's been some very big announcements. Even this month, there's been some big announcements around the biggest build to rent scheme ever, I think is in Birmingham. And, you know, they work really well because of the permitted development for office to residential, but also there's a lot of this new build. So this is new building to rent. Now, I think it's highly profitable. I think it's a good investment, but what you've got to do is your due diligence. And if the numbers that you sent us through with your question are right, you know, it looks extremely beneficial. However, you know, you do need to check these people out, and also you know, there are different schemes, and you might need to be a sophisticated investor to participate in those schemes. So I've got a few links to articles, so I'll pop those across to Simon in a minute, to things that I've read about it. I haven't actually done it myself. I've certainly thought about it, and the numbers were very attractive, I must admit, but you've got to have the demand. It's got to be demand in the area for it to work well. So yeah, over to Wayne or someone else.
Hello. Yeah, am I on? Build to rent. Well, like any, I think it's fair to say, as Simon says, if it looks too good to be true, ... Now, therefore, if it looks too good to be true, do that extra bit of due diligence is what I would be saying to you, because ultimately there have been stories of people forward funding such investments only to find when it comes to them thinking that they've got the return, i.e. somebody's in the block, that the developer's gone out of business or the scheme has failed in some other way. So do your due diligence is all I can really say. Check the numbers, make sure you've got somebody like Simon Hodgson there on board as for mortgages to make sure that the finance is right. And if it's a complicated accountancy setup, then somebody like Simon here on our call. I'm not going to try to pronounce that name, Simon, because I'm rubbish with the pronunciations. But yeah, essentially do your due diligence, because you're putting money down in advance on an investment that is an unknown entity. So research the numbers, and also, as much as you can, research the company that are offering the investment, the developer. Have they just started? Have they been in business for a while? Where to do your background checks as you normally would for anywhere you're intending to put your money, but be especially careful if the returns look too good to be true. I've been offered various different investments, including parking spaces at airports and all these different things that come out of the woodwork, only to find the developers vanished once they've got enough money. So just do your due diligence is all I would really say.
Perfect. Simon, why don't you go first, and then Paul, I know you've got your hand up, so let's follow up.
Right, okay. This is a really interesting topic and area. So build to rent can mean a number of different things to a number of different people. So true build to rent can be done on massive scale, and as Bronwyn says, there's a really huge one going on in Birmingham, and structured correctly. Yes, it can work and can work reasonably well. The kind of returns I think that were talked about on the message yeah, if it sounds too good, ... Now, within the sphere that we work in, and certainly the sphere I work in, I've met a number of property investors, and none of them particularly are fresh to the marketplace, who all have kind of gone into these kinds of things where they've been the smaller privately set up build to rent type scenarios, and a number of those have failed, and their money's gone pop effectively. So what you've got to kind of remember is if you've got a site that is looking to get funding via a build to rent scheme, if the site is that profitable, would the developer really be sharing that kind of profit with you? Because if they can borrow institutional money from the high street banks on the bigger developments at somewhere between 3 and 5%, and they then have second tier investors who then invest into them and lending the money on loan notes, it tends to be somewhere between 7 and 8%. That's enough for them to buy the site, develop the site, clear the site, and make a really great profit. If they're now starting to offer you double-digit returns in the future on your money, I would start to question potentially how and why they would want to structure their business and offer you that much money back. Can they not get institutional funding on that site? And if not, why not? Etc. etc. So due diligence is really, really key. And as I say, there are a number of clients I've got who have fallen foul of some of these smaller schemes. So be very, very careful, is what I would say.
Perfect. Paul Hilliard, over to you.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo for Dinesh that what everyone said so far is very, very apt and appropriate, and please listen carefully. The other thing I'd say is that if they're expecting to give you a return on their project GDVs greater than 30%, then just be very suspicious, because unless they're very experienced and they can explain why so much margin is available, I think I'd double check what their projected rent figures are being achieved and are their valuations being realistic. But the main thing I would say is that if they're offering you something that is too good to be true, then make sure you've got, if you are intent on borrowing to them or lending to them, then make sure you get the first charge on the project. Because if you don't get the first charge on the project, go for the first charge on the person's home. But it's got to be a mortgage. So, make sure you got your security.
Please note that we have a couple of events that we think you should register. The first one is the Property Expert Panel, and on that panel member list we have a mortgage broker, a property mentor, a tax advisor, which you would have guessed it is us, the NRLA, LMPG and a surveyor. So make sure that you ask your property investment and your property development questions to our panel members on the first Monday of every month. The link will be appearing below this video. Make sure you also list for the Property and Business Tax live Q&A with Louise Mishevich and Simon Mishevich, the co-owners of Optimize Accountants. You can ask them any question you would like live on our stream, and that is on the third Monday of every month. Again, the link will be appearing below this video.